So the local electric coupe SUV market has gotten a little bit more interesting in recent years. I mean, previously we only got the Volvo C40 Recharge, but now we get the new Smart #3 and of course this one. This is of course the new BMW iX2 in its range-topping xDrive30 M Sport form. So in today's video, we're going to answer you one very glaring question. So who is perfect to buy this Bavarian Badge EV coupe crossover? Let's find out. My name is Muklis and this is Caricarz. Okay, so what is exactly the iX2? So this is essentially the all-electric version of the second generation BMW X2. But unlike the first generation model that sports a lifted hatchback look, the X2 gets a sportier or more rugged looking coupe SUV body style, just like its bigger sibling, the X4 and the X6. But this being an all-electric model, you can see at the front it comes with this fully enclosed front grille, still retaining the BMW signature kidney grille design. But in case you don't think the grille is big enough, it also comes with the iconic glow lighting system just to further accentuate its bigness. Okay, but down here you get a rather sizable air intake that helps to cool down the brakes and the batteries and whatnot. But you can see, because this is essentially a sportier version of the iX1, you still get the same headlights design as the iX1, featuring these two lighting signature with some blue hued accent inside. Okay, moving on to the side, of course the biggest difference we're going to talk about later for the sporty design. But this being an M Sport car, it comes with some M Sport parts, including this 20-inch alloy wheels with M badge, and you also got another M badge on the front fender here. Okay, to the side, yes, it comes with this very sporty rakish roofline, similar to X4 and X2, but because this car sits slightly lower, so it doesn't really look that muscular or that glaring just like the X6. But moving on to the rear, which is the part I like the most about the car, it features BMW's latest design language. You can see from this taillight design, which looks similar to the new ones we saw on the 1 Series hatchback. You also get roof-mounted spoilers, very aggressive rear bumper accents, and you got the blue surround accent for the badge because this is an electric BMW. So all in all, I personally never been a fan of coupe SUVs like the X4 and X6, but for the X2, I think something about the sporty look that really speaks to me, so I like this car. In terms of design, at least. So now we're inside the BMW iX2 xDrive30 M Sport. As you can see, it sports a very familiar looking cabin layout because this is a very typical design language featured in many neo BMW models nowadays. Okay, at the front you get this dual display setup featuring a 10.7-inch infotainment display and a slightly smaller 10.25-inch instrument cluster with a head-up display up here. And both of these displays are very intuitive. It really helps drivers in focusing more on just driving. Okay, back to the infotainment. It is powered by BMW OX9, which is the latest operating software for the car. It supports wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, all very smoothly. You can just touch here, and then you also get the shortcuts for the climate controls down here because you don't have any dedicated climate controls. So essentially, the lower part of the screen is for the climate, so you can press here. Okay, apart from that, unfortunately, for the international market, the iX2 comes with the aircon support, which allows you to play some video games from this infotainment system, but unfortunately it does not be offered yet in Malaysia, so that's a little bit of the bummer. Okay, more talk on the front dash layout here. You can see it comes wrapped in this very nice vegan fake leather upholstery, which is very plush, and it also supplemented by this aluminum trim, which gives it a slight more premium, although some would prefer wood veneers for more luxury. But these two combination gives it car a little bit more sporty vibes, so as the front seats here, because these full sporty front seats are very comfortable. They are wrapped nicely around your body, but unfortunately it does not come with ventilated function. Okay, at the center here you get this typical floating center console BMW stack, where it houses the push start button. You get the drive selector here, the gear lever mode, volume and also some other related controls. And down here you get some extra space, a little bit small but it's quite usable. You also get a secret storage down here. You got 3 USB-C charging ports, 2 cup holders, and you also got a wireless charging pad at the center here, so all the tech amenities are quite premium here. Okay, on top of that, you also get this M Sport leather steering wheel courtesy of the M Sport package, which comes standard to this car. It feels very plush, very nicely firm, and it really helps you to drive more confidently, to be honest. And the typical drive layout, you also get the M badge here because this is an M Sport steering wheel. And other than that, you also get ambient lighting system, Harman Kardon premium audio system, and if you look above, there are no sunroof, but it comes with this dark colored headliner, which gives the car a little bit sporty look over the standard BMWs out there. Oh yeah, before I forget, so here's a little bit sneak peek of the premium Harman Kardon sound system. Well, as expected, life at the backseat of the iX2 is a little bit of a tight situation, well, partly because of the nature of the car's design. So as you can see, I've got pretty little headroom because of the sporty roofline. Mind you, I'm standing 175 cm tall, but unfortunately I still got pretty ample legroom, I have to say, because the front seat is adjusted to my driving position. But I have to say, the good thing about the car is that it comes with the same plush upholstery as the front one, so the rear back seats are quite nice. Although I have to say the seat is a little bit upright, so maybe if it just reclining down just a little bit, it will be much better, but nonetheless, it's okay. You also got almost flat flooring here, but you still got some little hump here. So a 3% deal is not really much of a thing, because I mean, there's not much space here anyway. But other than that, you still get some amenities like this dedicated aircon vents. You got 2 USB-C ports. Like I said, these cars only come with USB-C charging ports, so make sure to upgrade your cable if you haven't yet. But other than that, this is somewhat expected, so you really pay to get the sporty roofline. But I would say for a family of 4, this is still alright. The iX2 doesn't come with an internal combustion engine, but instead it is powered by a dual motor all-wheel drive setup rated at 308 horsepower and 494 Nm of torque. So 0 to 100 acceleration takes about 5.6 seconds, and the top speed for this car is capped at 180 km/h. Despite its sporty appearance, surprisingly, the iX2 is the most practical of its 2 rivals because of its very sizable 525 liters boot space, and you also get extra space down here for you to store your cables, your tire packets and whatnot. But unfortunately, it doesn't come with the frunk. Okay, in terms of the battery setup, the iX2 is juiced by a 64.7 kWh lithium-ion battery pack that grants it with up to 449 kilometers of EV range according to the WLTP standards. Okay, in terms of charging, this battery supports 11 kW AC charging, while DC charging is kept higher at 130 kW, with the latter allowing a 10 to 80% charge to be completed in 29 minutes. Okay, granted that both the powertrain and battery specs of the iX2 is a little bit subpar compared to some of its rivals, but I have to say this Bavarian batch EV has a lot to offer beyond its powertrain figures. So, what are we waiting for? Let's drive this car. Alright, so now we're behind the wheels of the new BMW iX2 xDrive30 N Sport, and like I said just now, yes, there are some of its rivals may have better performance numbers on paper at least, but this car makes do for its slight powertrain loss for its excellent driving dynamics befitting its Bavarian badge it carries at the front and at the back. Okay, as we all know, this car has been tuned by BMW's infamous handling tuning house, and as a result, it drives much better than other EV crossover that I've driven before. So much to I think this is the best EV crossover that I've ever driven in terms of driving dynamics, at least, because it doesn't feel like you're driving an SUV. It just feels like you're driving a low-seating sports car just because of how agile and how nimble the handling feels, and it actually feels much closer to the ground because the car is not really that tall to begin with. Okay, besides that, you also notice one thing about the car is that, of course, like I said earlier, it's got not much power, but coupled with the EV driving sensation of which is very smooth and very linear, this car promises to be a very fun thing to drive. I mean, I just keep smiling when I'm driving this car, and we only engage this in the normal mode. Okay, this car comes with 3 selectable driving modes, which namely, of course, we got the personalized mode, which is BMW's jargon for normal. You also got sports mode, and then you got the efficiency mode. Okay, speaking of sports mode, okay, I'm gonna try to put the car in sports mode now. Okay, once you engage the sports mode, the suspension tuning is gonna be a little bit stiffer, and the power and then the throttle sensitivity is gonna be much more, so that it promises you a much better performance. So yeah, it is really that fast. So a little bit of warning for those who are not really familiar with the EV rapid acceleration, so you might want to steer a little bit away from the sport mode for now. But on top of the sport mode, which of course you get better, faster throttle response, everything, the car also comes with this unique boost mode, which actually comes in the pedal shifter down here. So it's basically like a NOS button for EV. So once you put that, you get the 10-second boost, and the car just accelerates much faster than it already is in the sport mode. So I have to say, in terms of driving dynamics, there's nothing much to complain here. This is truly a Bavarian-made car, regardless of its all-electric powertrain stature, and it really makes do for its powertrain loss with its very sheer and excellent driving dynamics. Alright, so in terms of noise, vibration, harshness, of course, this being an EV, so you got very little noise, but actually, I do kind of like because it comes with its own personal noise because it's called this iconic sound. So the fake engine sound actually quite nice, much nicer compared to other EVs I've tested before. But of course, in terms of wind noises and everything, you hardly notice any wind noises because you only notice it once you go beyond 140 km/h speed. And on top of that, the tire. So this car is using the Continental Eco Contact 6Q tire, which is being catered to really dampen the sound, and it's really evidently so because the car rides rather silently. Even on like harsher roads and everything, you noticeably hear any tire roars. Not only the good quality this car boasts, but also the decent Continental tires it is on. Okay, unfortunately, because of its very sporty nature, the iX7 is susceptible to some little bit of bumpiness, so it is not the most comfortable EVs you're gonna ride because yes, it comes standard with the adaptive M suspension, and the suspension tuning is actually changed depending on the driving mode. So now I'm driving efficient mode, so the suspension setup is quite okay, but it's still susceptible to some bumps and everything. So you cannot expect like limousine luxury out of this sporty EV. I mean, at the end of the day, it is an M Sport car, so it is meant to be driven like a sports car. Okay, other than that, of course, safety equipment, this being a modern EV, it comes standard with both BMW Driver Assistant Plus package and the Parking Plus package. So you get ADAS functions like the adaptive cruise control. You also got like lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring and everything. And for the Park Assist Plus, you also got the assistant parking, parallel parking assistant. You also got 360 camera view, which is quite nice and intuitive to use because the camera resolution is very nice. It feels like they just chuck in like a smartphone or something behind the car because the resolution was in condition. So overall, yes, it's not the most comfortable car, so you cannot expect it to drive smoothly like a limousine or like any other EVs, but it's still somewhat okay, somewhat livable as a daily driver. But at the end of the day, because of its very sheer dynamic performance and handling, you still can have fun with it despite its SUV moniker. So iX2, comfort is okay, but more importantly, this is a very sporty EV crossover. So to conclude, who should really buy this new BMW iX2 xDrive30 M Sport? For me, it's for those who are seeking thrilling and exhilarating drive, but do not want to succumb to the typical EV straight line performance just like some of its rivals boast better. Yes, we talk about how the iX2 powertrain specs fell a little bit short compared to some of its rivals, but I have to say its Bavarian-honed driving dynamics is more than enough to make up for that powertrain loss because this is a very stellar EV to drive. So much so I have to say this is one of the best EV crossovers that I have personally driven and tested. But at 282,800 ringgit, it is definitely not a cheap buy, but considering that it is rightly priced between some of its rivals, I have to say for those who are looking for a sporty EV coupe crossover that want to use for daily, but at the same time to have a little bit more fun, you can look no further than this new BMW iX2 xDrive30 M Sport. My name is Mukles. Thank you for watching.